Okay, now we can start bringing everything together, and importantly we're going to put this belt in first. We need to have the belt routed like this, the dotted line, so this tensioner, when we push it this way, actually pulls the belt tight. So I'm just going to put the belt in there for starters. I'll just slide it in this way. So it needs to go around there, around that tensioner, around this Z rail here, and back to the motor. So the first thing we might do is just get this motor in place. I've just realised I don't have a drive gear on this one, so I'll just pop that on. And again, just making sure that the geared side is pointing downwards like that. Now, first thing I'm going to do is actually tape some of these square nuts into the brackets. Grab a little bit of tape, insert these square nuts, and careful not to cover over this hole here, because that's going to be our fixing point for the base plate. One. That one. Be a good idea to do both sides. And also making sure that the tape like this doesn't lip over the edge, because that might foul on the side. So I'm just going to do a little trim. Just make sure that the orientation of your motor bracket is the right way around. We actually want the spiky panel to be up against the motor. I had it around the wrong way. Just put that back in. Okay, so now I'm going to clear a few things out of the way. It gets quite messy in here. Such a small space. So I want to now connect up or fix the stepper motor into the corner over here, the corner between the right hand side panel and the back panel. Now I think we can take away that front panel. I'll just put that aside over there. I might just screw fix some of these little bolts just into these parts here, just to keep them all together. Don't lose your little copper washers for the Z-axis. Pop those over there as well. Now I can pull all of these a little bit closer. That's better. And we can start this process of locking these in place. So taking this back panel and just slotting that, if you can see that. See these two wider holes here. Now I'm just going to make sure that does bed home and it doesn't wobble around. Now if you've done what I've done here and countersunk this hole in your panel just that little bit too deep, you can just get a little bit of copper wire and just put it around the base of the bolt. Grab that motor again. Now the spiky sides have to sit in this corner. So let's see if that worked. Oh, that's pretty good. That's now tight in there and the bolt is nice and flush to this surface, which we need it to be. That's good. And now I'm going to do this, fix this on this other side. And I suspect I might have to make another little washer, although what I'll do is just try it first. Just don't want any wobble on that motor. So now I'm going to take one of these little top brackets. I'll go in this side, this way up. So spiky side, spiky panel up. That's that one done. Now I'm going to take the front panel and the left-hand side panel and just pop our little corner brackets in there. So I'll grab two more of those. I'll start with this front panel just because it's the more difficult to get into. And put that in there. And get the other one. That's good. Now push that across over there. Get this in center of frame. Great. Okay, so now we've got these three parts of the box. The center on the base plate and two corner modules. So now I'm going to lock these Z-axis rails in place. First thing to do is to get one of these locked in on one side. Spiky side up. Put this in here. Do the same on the other side. Get this little bolt out. Pop that in there. Pop that in there. Get this little corner bracket. Screw fix in place. That's perfect. Now, it's really tricky doing this in this orientation with all the electronics and everything in there. So I'm just going to flip the electronics out of the way for the moment, like this. Just make sure that all the wires are inside, not getting caught in any of the surfaces that we're clamping together. We can now lock in the bottom bracket. Get rid of that, and this bracket, just get that lined up like that, and a couple more of our M3x8 flat heads. So now that I've got this in place, I can, and it's in this orientation, I can take this the Z-axis rails and put them in. I'll just pop that down in there. And that needs, the bottom of it needs to slot into the V groove, or the rail here needs to slot in that bottom bracket, and also in this top bracket. And it's good if you've also wound these all the way down to the bottom of their travel. And now I can screw fix. So whenever you turn it over, it's a good idea to also turn your electronics. Let's push that over there. Line that up. Flip that around again. Make sure I can see that nut, see the hole in the nut, the thread. Pump that in. Tighten that. Put this one home. Pop those in there. Grab the electronics, flip that around. Is that one? Okay, so they're all in place. So again, this belt needs to run diagonally across, and I'll orient that in the same direction. So the belt needs to run around here, go diagonally down to this one down here, and then up and around and back through. And then put that around this Z-axis drive gear. Just push all of these wires up inside there. This one needs to come up through here, back down, and that needs to run back around there. So I don't know if you can see that down through here, but it starts down on this corner, comes up here around this one, back down around here. Now I'm going to pull this as tight as I can and pull it up around this one here, this top corner. Like this. Before we close it up, we've got to have these two little copper washers on the bottom of this. Now we can close it up. That. Flip it over like this. Might even just have to ease those off to pull that in place. Ease those ones off, pull that in place. And tighten it back up. Bit of tape to keep it in. Keep it in situ. And we're together.